Good morning, everybody. I am Captain Tommy Scoville, and I'm going to be your host this morning for a 3-hour tour. It's not really going to be a 3-hour tour. I can't back that up. But I will be your host this morning. Mind Game says it was a total blast last night. Good time on the live stream last night. Heather does a great job. She really does. Heather's fantastic. She's a very, very dedicated person. This is a thankless gig, and it requires getting up in the middle of the night very, very often. And it really is a thankless gig. And it was. It's always shocking to me when somebody is as dedicated as I am. Because I definitely had a lot of time to think about this and to concentrate on this. And Heather was on board really quickly and really seemed to get it as well as anyone ever has. So today, people, this is one of those subject matters that you look at and you go, "Oh, this isn't going to be any fun. This isn't going to be any fun. This is going to suck." Today, Tommy is going to talk about fear. And you know what? Fear's not fun. Is it? Or is it? Seriously. Aren't there people out there that groove to it? Don't you know people that kind of live their life in such a way that it seems like, hey, maybe they really do dig fear? People who jump out of airplanes, right? I assure you, I've done this. And when you step into the abyss, there's a period of time when you jump out of an airplane that you feel like you're falling. It's a very short period of time. If you've never jumped out of a plane, you do this number, right? Everybody assumes you're going to get that feeling you get in your stomach, like you get on a roller coaster. You know what I mean? Like when you dip straight down and then it levels out and you get that feeling. Okay, well, when you jump out of an airplane, it never levels out, right? You just keep falling. But we're so accustomed in our head to knowing that if you fall for more than about a quarter of a second, you're in really deep trouble, right? I mean, you fall for a half a second, you've gone and fallen 20 feet. So we're programmed to know that that's a really bad thing. And when you first step out of that airplane, and I don't mean every skydive, but the first time you jump, you step out of that airplane and you get into your arch and you start to fall. There is a switch in your body that gets thrown. And if you don't think that's fear, I assure you it is. But it is so much fun. And it makes you sit and think to yourself, how's that possible? Because I've been in other situations. Like you're riding down the road and maybe you just robbed a bank. And you look in the rearview mirror and the lights on the top of a police car behind you, they've just lit you up. And you think to yourself, well, it's been a pretty decent run, right? But I'm probably caught. I'm either going to run, like put my foot on the gas and try to take off. And then you could end up shot or everything else. Then you start like weighing out your stuff and your foot's going back and forth like this between the gas pedal and the brake. Pull over, what do I do? And you pull over. And that split second before the cop gets out of the car and you realize that this idiot is just going to tell you to shut your gas cap. But that split second, that's not fun. That fear is no good, right? And you have a kid? Any parents in the audience? I think our demographic is all parent age people, actually. But you ever been in a grocery store or a mall and you turn around for a half a second and your kid's gone? Okay. You remember that feeling when you look and you don't see your son or you don't see your daughter and in 1 second, all of that just like you're getting punched in the face. It's terror and it's not fun. There's nothing fun about that. So why is it that some people groove to the fun thing? Well, the logical answer has to be that there's more than one kind of fear, right? There's got to be more than one type of fear. So there's got to be good fear and there's got to be bad fear. If there was not good fear, people wouldn't jump out of airplanes. People wouldn't do extreme skiing. People wouldn't skateboard, down a 4-mile hill. Have you seen these people in the leather suits that just get on these hills? And it's like downhill They'll kick the board sideways and slide for a little bit to scrub off some speed. These people are absolutely insane. But I would imagine that that's scary as hell. And I'll bet you it's pretty good scary. You know, there's a lot of chili heads in the audience. How about that moment right before you dive into like 6 or 7 super hots, or you're about to try to take down a ugly challenge, a couple of tubes of terror, and you know how bad it's going to hurt. In about 6 or 7 seconds, the pain is going to be more than most people are used to. That fear is a cool fear, right? Because you're in control. I think when we control what's going on, that very often that has something to do with it. Or maybe you mix in a little adrenaline. You think the adrenaline's got something to do with it? I'll tell you what, let's go at it from the other way, because good fear is really hard to explain. Bad fear is pretty easy, right? Bad fear comes in a couple of varieties as well. One is terror, sheer terror, when the realization that whatever you think just happened is awful, right? It's on a scale of 1 to 10, you're looking at a solid 10, right? In terms of just really, really messed up. Sorry, people. Yeah, one of the biggest fears that cripples us more than anything, especially those of us who have struggled with addiction, is the fear of fear. For real. This is probably the fear that cripples more people than anything else, because you're not running around during the day thinking, you know, it would be really scary to jump out of a plane today, right? But you can ride around all day long and think, I'm probably not going to get that promotion. There's a really good chance my wife's going to leave me, right? I know I'm going to get fired. I'm probably just going to relapse anyway. When we start doing that doomsday crap in our head, and addicts are terrible about it. F my life, man. I can't believe this, right? We're really good at cursing our luck. The fear of fear can put you in the exact same situation in your brain that that feeling when you're in the mall and your kid's gone, that split second of terror you can get from a memory. Your brain can act the exact same way, remembering something. So what happens if you spend your entire life in that fear of fear? See, we tend to get this lens that we look at our entire life through. And this lens gets tinted, so to speak, by fear. So now every single thing we look at, we're looking for the not the silver lining. We're looking for the crap. We're looking for where it can go wrong. We're looking for how this person could screw me over, right? How is this chick going to break my heart? How is this thing going to end? And we are all guilty of this to some degree, right? We are all guilty of this to some degree. So if you spend 3 or 4 years in constant fear, how do you think that is for your psyche? How do you think that is for your love life? How about promotion at work? Spirituality, anything. You're beat, right? You're beat. If you're walking around all day long in that fear, that fight or flight moment, right? Where you're either getting ready to ball up your fist and defend yourself, or literally turn tail and try to get out of there because the person that you're facing is probably big enough to hurt you, or the challenge that you're facing is, 2 or 3 people there or whatever. Fear is an emotion that can destroy an entire life. And sadly, there are people that don't know what their problem is. There are people who walk through life going, I'm miserable. Not really sure why. I kind of get anxiety attacks, or this kind of happens. Some people don't get anxiety attacks at all. They don't even feel that. It's just all day long they've got this feeling of anxiety. And I want to tell you something. I was this dude. I'm not kidding. I was this dude. I was a guy that walked through life with that look, where every time I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. That's what I was waiting for. I was waiting for the other shoe to drop. And no matter how many times I went into rehab or did anything, it always came back to the same thing. It always came back to repeating the same stupid things, the same cycle that you had been in your entire life. Go into the rehab, get gung-ho as hell, right? I'm gonna do this. You get excited and you're really ready to take on the world. And it's not that hard because there's no dope in front of you. There's really no temptation. So you can concentrate, right? You're not afraid. You got nothing to be afraid of, right? Because you're in this building and that guy over there is going to make sure I can't do drugs. No fear. It's like prison without the risk of getting beat up all the time, right? Sorry, people. I've been sick now for I cannot tell you how long. And the only good news is I have lost a ton of weight. And I do mean a ton of weight. Anything hanging? Huh? How we doing? Yeah. This fight or flight, this anxiety that people walk through their entire life making themselves miserable on. One of the things that Q first brought to my attention that absolutely blew my mind was his thoughts on this good fear, bad fear, right? His thoughts on the fact that the fear that brings adrenaline on is freaking awesome. And what he said blew my mind, right? He said that fear, right, that anxiety and excitement are the exact same thing happening in your body. Literally the exact same thing. If you hook a guy up to a machine and you get galvanic reflux, you get the EKG, you get his pulse, everything going on, right? His blood pressure, and you measure all of that. And what that guy gets absolute crap scared out of him. He's in a situation that he doesn't think he can get out of, and he's sitting there terrified. All of the things that happen, the sweating, the blood pressure, the heart rate, right, the breathing changing, all of that is going to be the exact same thing if you hooked that guy up and then said to him, guess what? You just won $2 million. For real, the scratch off is good. That moment where they said, we brought you in here and no joke, here it is. You hand that guy the check that changes this person's life. He's been making 20 grand a year. And this is the most exciting thing that has ever happened to this guy in his life. The exact same crap is going to turn up on his EKG. The same stuff is going to turn up. It is the exact same phenomenon in our body. For real. Fear and excitement. The exact same thing happens in the body. Now, this has got to make you think there is a load of potential right here to figure out a way to not be scared of crap. For real. Because if your body's going to do the same thing, you have to logically say, the only thing screwing me up is my dome. Right? The only thing screwing me up is my dome. Because when the fear is there, we feel like we can't take a step, right? You ever been so scared you thought you were going to go to the bathroom in your pants? You ever been so scared that your knees start to buckle, right? Okay. The difference between that and the guy that wins the lottery ticket, the only difference is going to be that one emotion makes a person happy and one emotion makes a person scared, terrified. So if you can manipulate that emotion, perfect example of this is probably public speaking, because everybody hates it. And I don't, obviously not everybody, but the vast majority of the world, it is considered one of the biggest phobias. Nobody wants to. It's why the lifeboat's cool, because you can get into the chat here, and you don't have to stand up, and people don't have to look at you, but you can share things about your life, right? Butt puckering, says Seven. Yeah, but for real, right? So you can hear the crowd, right? People out there doing this number. And you're standing in the wings, and you've never been so terrified in your life. If you can throw the mojo switch right there, and you can say, you know what? This is going to be awesome. This is going to be awesome. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to own this. I'm grabbing that microphone, and within the first 30 seconds, this audience is going to be mine, right? I'm going to go out there and I'm going to kill it. I promise you, the exact same thing in your body's happening. So if you can just do the mantra thing, if you can say to yourself, say it out loud, look in a mirror, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to kill it. This is going to be the best show I ever did in my life. This is going to be the best show I've ever done in my life. Get all fired up. You know, this is why the gurus, the people like Tony Robbins, say, get your physiology involved, right? Put a big crop-eating grin on your face, because if you do this, I'm not kidding you. Have a conversation with someone today and spend about 40 seconds with a big grin on your face and try to be unhappy. It's a really difficult thing to do. In fact, it's almost impossible, because this changes your entire get down, right? Your physiology will change what's going on in your body massively. So maybe if right before you went walking out on stage and you can hear that crowd and you're like, oh my God, I don't want to do this. Maybe you just put a big crap-eating grin on your face. Even if you're walking around terrified, do it with the biggest smile on your face that anyone has ever seen. No joke. Oh, don't do that. Hey, see that? We're having some signal issues. Can I get a 5x5? Is butt puckering a person? No. Pucker Butt, the pepper company, has got a guy that runs it, but his name is not, he's not Mr. Pucker Butt or his name. No, he's just, he runs Pucker Butt. Thank you. There's my 5x5. I don't know if you guys are seeing it, but I'm getting the, every once in a while, my screen shuts down and I'm left going on no, because very often it doesn't come back up. Okay. So right where did you start to hear that crowd? The adrenaline's going to hit both people, right? You got two people waiting to go on stage. The adrenaline hits both of them. First thing they hear, right? The sound comes in, hits your ears, hits my ears. And that starts the process. First, the adrenaline comes, right? And the vagus nerve, which runs from up here all the way down to the bottom, the vagus nerve starts doing its thing, right? So it's going to shut off digestion because it's not going to waste any energy digesting whatever you got in your stomach. It's going to divert all energy. You know why? Because truthfully, it's not exactly sure what's about to go on. Your brain's not 100% sure. Could be that you're getting chased by a bear, or it could be that the hottest girl you've ever seen in your life has just said, I would like you to come back to my place right now. Right? And you just go, huh? You talking to me? You. Right now. Vagus nerve does the same thing. It's going to do the same thing on both people, except one guy is going to be excited. Right? He's going to bring into that the emotion of right? Same thing. You can manipulate this. So before we're getting ready to go out and stand in front of that microphone and grab that thing, the two guys, you got one dude that is ready to go out there. He's thinking to himself, good God, that crowd's huge. Awesome. I hope they got him filled in the aisles. You know, I heard it was 7,000. I hope they got about 8 or 9. I hope there's people outside, right? You just want it to be the biggest crowd in the world because you're going to kill it. Guy next to you, he's thinking the same numbers, right? Holy crap. 7,000 people? Man, I ain't going out there. I'm not going out there, man. That's crazy. I'm not going out there. Exact same situation. The only difference, and I'm telling you, as you get going, the vagus nerve's doing the same thing to both people, right? Everything is the same except the emotion. So one guy's legs are going to get underneath him and he's going to feel blood pump into everything. The other guy's legs are going to turn to jelly. They're going to turn to jelly. And that one guy whose digestion shuts off, right? So he's literally like tightening up his stomach, right? Kind of ready to go, protecting all of his organs for real. This is what we do. The animal comes out in us, right? Our head comes down. We start protecting our stuff. I don't know if you guys have been in fist fights, but instantly, right? You get guys that square off and they will instantly revert back to some real animal stuff, you know? Even guys that have never fought before, guys that have absolutely no idea what they're doing, know hardwired into their brain that there are things that you need to do, right? You're gonna bend at the waist because you're pushing organs back. You're bringing your rib cage down to protect yourself. These two guys are doing two really different things with their physiology. One cat's doubling up, right? He's coming in like a turtle. I'm pulling all of my crap inside. I'm leaving nothing but shell. This ain't happening, right? I'm not going out there. I'm not going out there. I'm not going out there. And he just makes himself the smallest target that he possibly can. Right? This is what we're doing. Fear. Make yourself a small target. See if you can freaking hide, right? Is there a room around here I can go into? Maybe shut the door. Hide. The other guy doing the exact opposite. He's bowing up, right? His shoulders are going back. He's putting his chest down. Now he's trying to imagine what this audience is going to see when he walks out there, right? So my posture is going to be good because that's the first thing they're going to see. Before I can say a damn word, they're going to watch me walk out there. So I'm not going to go out there slouching. I'm ready. This is my night. It's exact same things going on in both bodies. So you just have to learn to control your brain. And the fun part is you only have to control it for a couple of minutes. I'm not kidding. All you need is a couple of minutes. Take this from a guy who has walked out on stage a bunch of times. The real adrenaline, right? That dose that will save you. This is the dose that you would get either guy, right? But it's that second blast. And it's just like the endorphin dump for people who tolerate pain to a certain level and then the endorphins kick in. Same thing happens to your brain. You walk out on stage and there's, 20 or 30,000 people out there. You're making a really, really big show or you've got to do a presentation and everything is, your heart's already right here and you walk out and you see everything. And there's that split second where you very easily could just lock up. In fact, the frightened guy might. But you tumble out 2 or 3 words and your body hits you with that next batch of adrenaline. And that next batch of adrenaline does the exact opposite. For real. It kicks in and you go on autopilot. For about the next 2 or 3 minutes, you don't even feel your legs, right? You don't feel your arms. You kind of feel like you're just floating around. Everything is good. And then as that wears off, it's just, you sort of come back into your body and reality is cool and you're out there doing your thing. The other guy has defecated in his pants, run off of the stage, vowed to never speak to the person that talked him into doing this. It's the exact same physiology, the same crap's going on in the people's bodies, right? Heart rate, all that. Learn to control your dome in really bad situations. Well, Tommy, it's not so easy to do. It's not that hard either. It's not. You could go down the same damn checklist before you walked out onto that stage with fear that you do when you start feeling like you're going to get high. I'm not kidding you. Why? Because it's really the same stuff. Our body only has so many curveballs it can throw at us, right? In almost everything our body does to get our attention, our heart's going to speed up. Our breathing is going to change, right? All of the things that our body can throw at us is the exact same. They can't really vary that up, right? All right. He doesn't want to go out there for some public speaking. Let's slow his heart down. No, your heart, that's just not going to happen. You're going to get the adrenaline. You're going to get the heart racing. Control. Go down the checklist. I'm really uncomfortable. The sound of that audience is freaking killing me. Okay, get up, walk around, change what you're looking at. Stop listening to it. Go outside, walk around, and do some mantras, right? I'm good at this. I'm good at this. I'm good at this. Nobody's better at this. Nobody's better at this. Get fired up. Tony Robbins will tell you to start pounding on yourself, right? Start giving yourself a really good shot. Why? Because your body's going to kick down a little bit of endorphin, right? It's going to bring you right into the moment, and you're going to have this one spot that stings a little bit. And believe it or not, I have found that it kind of brings you off center. In other words, instead of concentrating on whatever has been really kind of right on your mind, you kind of got this feeling, right? It's not pain. It's almost like a tattoo kind of a feeling. I mean, it's kind of like a cool pain, right? I'm telling you, there are so many people that have so many rituals of odd things they do with their physiology before they go into a meeting, go out on stage, whatever. Rituals that people do. Why? Because rituals make everything work. I'm talking about this on the lifeboat since the first day we started. Get up in the morning, make your bed, right? Brush your teeth, do your thing, journal, do it all, and do it the same way. Do it every single day until you're out the door. Why? Because that makes sure that you're not going to slip up. It also makes sure that your brain isn't going to go to someplace stupid. You're not going to be sitting in there by the shower going, you know what, man? My boss isn't even going to be there today. I could stop by the liquor store. I could grab half a pint or a pint. No, man, give your brain something to do. Have an entire routine. Be going down the freaking checklist first thing in the morning. This is what I got to do. I got to do this. And you might have to look at that list for a month or 2 months until it becomes a habit. And then you wouldn't dream of not doing anything on that list. Maybe if you're on vacation, right? This is just what you do. This is how the machine runs better. This is a tune-up every single morning before you take the car out on the track, right? You do the same thing. Okay, so if you're going to find yourself in situations that are fraught with a little bit of fear, and there are some of us who have fear at our workplace as part of our job, right? And I don't mean guys that are working 150 feet off the ground, doing that kind of stuff, because that can be the good fear. Those are the people that take those jobs usually take those jobs because it's kind of cool to be hanging out there 150 feet off the ground. The guys who do window washing on the sides of the buildings in big cities don't take those gigs because they're afraid of heights. Okay? It's not why those people take those jobs. They take them because often they kind of like the adrenaline thing and the money's pretty good, right? You definitely get paid. Anytime you get something and part of that job is a crap load of uncomfortable fear, the amount of money they pay you goes way up. I'm not kidding, right? Think about it. Think about it for a second. How much fear is there attached to your job, right? Well, let's say you work on an assembly line, and you work putting the front fenders on an automobile so it comes down. You pull a fender off, right? Dent, go over, do your little riveting or spot welding or whatever. You get the thing put in place. Run to the other side, do the other one, right? And you do that. And you can run back and forth. Not a tremendous amount of fear in that, right? Now, if you're a rock star and you're getting ready to walk out on stage, or you're anything that puts that kind of level of fear, golfers make a ludicrous amount of money. Why? Because they do one of the most difficult sports in the entire world, right? Nobody's good at it. Honestly, the people that are good at golf aren't good at golf. They're not. Or they would consistently, shoot way under par at all times. They wouldn't have bad shots. They wouldn't have bad days. But it's that kind of sport, right? It humbles fantastic athletes. And even guys who are really good at it today probably won't be in 3 years, because it's just one of those kind of sports. But there used to be a great commercial on TV, and it said the only thing that is louder than 30,000 screaming fans, and it kind of showed a stadium, right, is 30,000 silent fans. And they show a dude that's got a 4-foot putt on the 18th green, and every single place you can see, except where he's standing with his caddy, that green, the rest is human beings. Look like Woodstock, right? People all over the place. And you could hear a pin drop. That's a different kind of pressure. It's a different kind of adrenaline. It's a different kind of fear. It really is. But the more of that you get, the more you have to overcome that feeling, the higher the paycheck. I promise you. They pay people to do things that other people don't want to do. And usually that's motivated by fear. Or, it's just a dirty job, something Mike Rowe would have to go do, right? Cleaning out the dead carcasses of things on the side of the road. Some of the gigs that man took. I love Mike Rowe, by the way. I don't know if you guys are Mike Rowe fans. I used to love watching that the dirty jobs. I was in the state. The first time that I went to prison, it was a state charge. And in the state, you can have your own TV. So I had a television in my cell, and I had a single cell because I had done everything right since I got to prison. I had worked my way up, and eventually you get. It's kind of like having a wrench here, honestly. Like you walk around and say to guys, "Hey, don't sag your pants. Don't do this." It's like a mentor thing for younger guys that first come through the door. It's but it gets you a really nice cell. And I would sit in there. There would be 3 or 4 hour blocks of that. Like it would be on one channel in the morning, and then like a couple hours later, you could catch it on another channel. We would watch that religiously. Mike Rowe's a beast. Put himself through some ugly stuff. I'll tell you what, though. What he should have done was sandblasted the inside of the hull of a boat, because that is the ugliest thing you've ever seen. That you talk about fear. There you go, people. So I'm fresh out of prison, and I get a job working on a shipyard. Okay. Now, just keeping it real, it's been a really long time since I did any kind of manual labor, right? I mean, I would have done stuff around the house if it needed to get done or whatever, but I haven't had a job that required me to do anything that could get my hands calloused in, I don't know, 35, 40 years, something like that. And I'm not just getting the job. I'm getting a freaking job. Like what I'm getting ready to go do is pretty heavy duty work. The working on a shipyard's rugged. And what we were doing is I was part of the paint crew. And when they tell you that on the way in, I'm like, yes, absolutely, I can paint. You know what I mean? Like I've done a lot of that. I really have. Even when I used to do manual labor, painting was one of the things I used to do. So with confidence, I tell the guy, yeah, absolutely. And he says, and sandblasting, right? And he goes through a list of about 3 other things, not one of which I had heard of. But I had heard of $25 an hour, right? So I said, oh, yeah, we're good. We're good. My third night at that job, we had to crawl into the inside of the hull of a ship. And so you're going through a little hole about that big, right? It's just slightly bigger than your body. Some people here, like I know if Charlie Murphy's here, some of the old timers have probably seen this, because I used to, on Instagram, I used to actually live feed some of this stuff on Instagram back in the day. For real. There are some crazy videos of me crawling through the insides of ships. But it's so small that you can't stand up, right? So you're squatting down like this. And it's a series of little like catacombs that you got to crawl through one after the other, right? It's just horrible. And it's done like that so that if water starts rushing in, they're like bulkheads that forces the water. It's just, there's drinking water sections, right? And then there's the water sections for people who are taking a shower with that water. So it's kind of clean, but it doesn't have to be as clean as the stuff you're drinking. Well, I got to go in there and get all the rust out and do all of that. So you're wearing this huge suit, comes over the top of your head with glass this thick, right? That you can barely see through, that just absolutely sucks. And technically, you're supposed to be able to pull off a little plastic thing once it gets, screwed up, throw it away. There's another one underneath it, and you sandblast, and the sand hits and flies off. If you're not familiar with this concept, sand comes out of a gun, right? And it's a hose about this big. Sand comes out of it at, I don't know, 180, 190 miles an hour. Tons of it, right? And it strips away paint. It strips away metal. It will burn a hole. You can literally burn a hole through a angle iron. You take a piece of steel that's an inch thick, and you can burn a hole through it in a matter of minutes if you just sit there doing nothing else. In fact, I've done it. Sitting there at work, just bored as hell outside, seeing what we could blast away during our break with but absolutely, and the worst gig in the whole world. So you're inside this thing, and that you have a tender, and his job is just to help you get all of the hosing and everything in there so you can do this. And then he runs like hell. And you're in this, and it's like being inside a popcorn popper, right? You've got sand blasting at you from every angle because everywhere this stuff hits, it's just ricocheting right back at your body. And I used to get so worked up. If I knew the day I was going in, we were going to have to do sandblasting. And I shot videos of this. My hands would be this big. The day after I did sandblasting, my hands would just swell like you would not believe. I would wake up in the morning like I couldn't tie my shoes. But by 2:00, I was, and every morning I'd be like, I'm not going to work today, man. I cannot do this. And then by the time it was time to start getting ready for work, your attitude changes. But I'll tell you what, people, the old me would have done that till the end of time. And the new and improved me, right? The guy that does the whole communication thing. I went to my boss and just said, hey, you know what, dude, I've held my last sandblaster. I'm not doing it anymore. And I said, I'm not being rebellious or any of that. I said, I just want to show you the pictures of my hands, what they look like in the morning. I said, I don't want to lose this job, but I can't keep this up, man. I'm an old man. I can't do this. And he says to me, fantastic. I'll put you on. And he takes me over to this machine. And my job was just to make sure that it always had sand flowing through it for the guys, right? And it is just like a silo. And my job was just to make sure that this silo never developed any spots where, sand was no longer going in. What you're doing basically is a whole lot of nothing. And then you look at a board in front of you because these guys can't communicate with you. So they do it through a series of signaling on the lights. If they need a little bit more pressure, I can turn up the pressure on their guns. But what it required was me doing nothing that was going to hurt my hands, right? I went through this checklist of stuff, and we've talked about this on the boat many times. See, right before I went to work, I sat down and said, all right, man, what's about to happen? Because I felt scared, you know what I mean? I had to go in and talk about this. I might lose my job. My boss is going to be pissed. So I sat down and said, all right, of course I used a pen, and I wrote down, what's the worst that can happen? What's the worst that can happen? This dude can't send me back to prison. Guy's going to say, all right, man, if you can't sandblast, you're fired. It's been nice. Pick up your check in about a week or two. It's the worst thing that can happen. Then I go back to the halfway house and watch television, right? Wait for the next job. Start filling out some applications. Who cares? Who cares? That's the worst thing that can happen. What's the best thing that could happen? Exactly what ended up happening. I thought to myself, the best thing that could happen is he could say to me, hey, I don't want to see you in pain. Let me give you a cushy job that won't hurt you. Maybe one where you sit around and can watch videos on your phone, right? That would be really cool, wouldn't it? Well, that's pretty much what happened. I painted, if we were doing anything other than sandblasting, I was right dead in the middle of it. But the vibration of that, my hands, first of all, look at that. My hands, I look like a circus freak anyway. But after sandblasting, I know some of you can still check me out on Instagram. I don't know if the rest of you can. I haven't gone on there in forever. Forever. The day I started the lifeboat, I shut down Instagram. I just never went back. And I had a lot of people. I had more people there than I had here, way more. Got to vacuum and get ready for church. So I'm going to be in and out. Okay, Kathy. Well, we're glad that you're here. And I'm glad that you're going to church on Sunday. I'm glad that anybody is doing anything that makes them feel good, especially well-rounded good. There's a reason that I love the people that are going to church. And it's not me wanting to shove religion down anyone's throat, because I really don't care what church you're going to. And if you're going to stay home and meditate, I just think it's really great for anyone who's got a problem with addiction to put away a certain amount of time. That's just for your head, right? That's just for you to commune with what you think is a higher power. Or if you don't believe in a higher power, man, commune with nature or the universe or whatever floats your boat. But have some time where you're not working on this, right? You're just here, man. So maybe sitting down, work on some deep breathing exercises. You know what I do. I've been super open about what I do. Speaking of which, 3:00 today, for those of us I'll be over on the other platform doing the other show, the one that is it's the lifeboat version of the chaplain. Seventh son, did he just get here? No. Let me see. I'm going to pop in and start saying hello to you since I haven't said hi to anybody. Let me turn this back on. If I'm at the point of giving up on having money and a good life, because every time something has to happen to make us go into more debt. Well, that sucks, Scoop. And there are times, to be sure, where luck beats the hell out of you. There's no two ways about it. There are times where luck beats the hell out of you. You know, you get a speeding ticket when you don't have any money. I was the king. I was literally the king of being in the wrong place at the wrong time. I was the guy that would get busted. This is a true story, right? I had some stolen laptops in my car, a grip of them, actually, a lot of stolen laptops, Toshibas, and they were all brand new. They were still in the box. Somebody had wahooed them. That's right. Luck is the residue of design. I love that. M. Hunt, love it. So I've got all of these. I got all of these laptops in my car, and I'm parked at a Home Depot. I went into Home Depot because I didn't have one of those little bits that you put in the end of your cordless drill so that you can drill in a Phillips head. Hey, thank you, Russ. Appreciate you. Good looking out, man. He says, hey, Wood, my respects to you and everything you do for others. Keep up the awesome work. That's kind of a colloquialism between brothers on the other side of the wall. But the wood gets solid wood. It's an abbreviation for peckerwood, which is what the white boys call each other behind bars. Appreciate you, my brother. I really do. I'm going for a long hike up a mountain to clear my head. Have an awesome day, everyone. See, perfect example, right? Perfect example. That's not what people might think, but that can be a religious experience from a standpoint of being in recovery. What I'm talking about, taking time that you give just to your dome, hiking's great. Anything where you're getting out in nature and really communing. I'm what I believe, but in nature, I can feel God. I swear to you, I can. There are times where it's not. I don't feel the presence of the Lord if I'm sitting in a building. But boy, oh boy, do I feel it in nature. Honestly, Scoob, I remember. So I go in there to get the bit for my drill, for my cordless drill, so that I can put in Phillips head stuff. While I'm in there, a gentleman backs up, and he's got 2x4s that are hanging out of the back of his SUV. His door isn't going to close, so he's just got it kind of bungeed down with the 2x4s hanging out of the back of the car. And as he backs up, he breaks my tail light with a 2x4, shatters it out. And I'm not mad at the guy, right? It's something that anybody could do. I'm a little bummed out that I'm going to have to get a new brake light assembly on my car, but I'm not mad at him. So, and I go over to him, and he says to me, hey, man, please don't call the cops. I said, yeah, I'm not much for calling the cops. Yeah, Russ, send that to me, please. How cool is that? After 30 years, his daughter found me a daughter I never knew about. Wow, man, that's an opportunity for some heavy stuff right there, Russ. Good Lord. Fantastic, man. Yeah, send me an email, please. So I've got all of this crap in my car. And now I've got a broken taillight. And this guy keeps saying, don't call the cops, don't call the cops. I said, this gentleman looked like he might have been here illegally. All right. I don't care. I really don't. I wouldn't have called I'm just not that guy anyway. And there's no point in exchanging, insurance information for a freaking light. You know what I mean? A tail light. So I said, broom it, I'll get it. Don't even deal. Just get out of here. Just go. He said, all right, thank you. I said, yeah, just go. No big deal. I am 2.5, maybe 3 miles from my house at this point, right? 2.5 or 3 miles from my house. Of course, on the way home, I get pulled over for only having one brake light. And in my car, I have all of those stolen laptops. The moral of the story is, what got me caught? What got me caught? Was it the dude that backed into my car and broke my taillight? Was it bad timing? Right? Like if I had stopped at 7-Eleven, which is right next to the Home Depot, to get a Red Bull or whatever, I would have missed that cop. I'd have driven right home. No big deal. But that's not how it worked out. So what caused that to happen? What caused that to happen was I had a car full of stolen friggin' laptops. Cop pulls me over. I got a broken taillight. He says, hey, I need you to get a taillight fixed. I'm writing you a fix-it ticket. If you go to court and show them that the thing's fixed, that you got a taillight, there won't be any fines that you got to pay. Excellent. Thank you. But that's not how it went down, did it? No. Because I got a car full of stolen laptops. So I started to trim out all of the really stupid stuff in my life that I did that can get me in trouble. I stopped being around stolen merchandise of any kind, right? I don't. If you say to me, I got a car full of stolen Rolex watches, it will be very difficult. But I would walk away and say, I don't want to have anything to do with that. You know what I mean? I don't care. It would be hard because I really like them. But I know me. I know me, right? I know me. I'll tell you something else. If I go on a road trip anywhere, the first damn thing that I'm doing before I leave is I'm having somebody walk around my car, check every single turn signal, check the brake lights, make sure all 3 of them are working, right? I'm testing everything on that car that could get me a ticket. How is my license plate light? We good? Or is a cop going to pull me over and tell me I don't have a license plate light? Because I'll tell you what, I've been arrested that way. You say, how can you get arrested for that? Well, you can have a car full of stolen crap when you get pulled over for not having a light on your license plate. Right. There's a whole litany of things that you can be pulled over for that are absolute nothing burgers, right? And if you get a good attorney and you fight it in court, you could probably even beat it. The cop that says, you didn't use your turn signal, which is why I pulled you over. Like, honestly, I can't tell you the number of times I've been pulled out of a car and searched because I drove out of a drug neighborhood in a car, right? Nice car. That's it. Now, they'll tell you, you didn't use your turn signal. And I look at the guy and go, are you kidding me, man? In the neighborhood I'm in, driving this car, do you think I didn't use a turn signal doing anything in this neighborhood? Man, I know you guys are just waiting to pull over a guy in a Mercedes. There's no freaking way I didn't use my turn signals. But I promise you, I'm going to get pulled over and I'm going to get searched. It's just how it goes, right? But I'll tell you something else. It is what it is. But I got to a point where if I was leaving the drug house, I promise you there wasn't a cop in North America that was going to find drugs on me. I promise you. They would have had to have a very energetic and creative dog to find any of the dope that I was walking out with. Because I'm that guy. Because I promise you, if somebody on a road trip is going to get pulled over because something was just wrong with some part of the car, it's going to be me. It's going to be me. I'm the one. You understand? I really am. I'm the one. And I've been that idiot my entire life. I'm telling you, prison broke me of that because if I was in school or if I was in anything, right? Where's the idiot, the dunce cap? Where's the chair that they put the kid in the corner if he's doing the wrong thing, right? I went to a one-room schoolhouse when I was growing up, right? For first grade, I went to a one-room schoolhouse. But if you got in trouble, they put you in the kitchen. There's a little kitchen off of the one room. There was a bathroom on either side, one for girls and boys, and then there was a little kitchen, which is just like, I don't think there was an oven in it. There was just a sink, a place for someone to prepare something if they needed to for a kid. But I spent so much time in that damn kitchen that my father actually told me to go in and tell the woman that I wasn't taking home ec. I was just that guy. Then I went to prison, and I found out where that guy goes when he gets in trouble, right? I figured, well, you're already in jail. What are they going to do? Arrest you? What are they going to do? Arrest me? I figured there's really not much more they can do to me. They've taken everything, right? So what are they going to do now? That was the time I wound up like this. With my hands cuffed above my head, right? For long enough that it isn't even worth talking about. Hours with my hands cuffed above my head like that. And I got beat like a piñata. I really did. And then it was like 14 months of solitary confinement. And then after that, I got to go to the special management unit, which was solitary confinement for another 36 months. Like that whole rip I did in trouble. Except for about the first 7 or 8 months until then I did something really stupid. But I was that guy. I was always that guy. Now I'm on autopilot. I promise you I am. I'm on autopilot. But there was a period of time in there where there was no autopilot. What does that mean? That means that every friggin' minute of every day, my first goal was to not get myself into any situation where I was going to have to talk to somebody who carried a gun or wore a badge. Like that was my entire mission in life. Might sound stupid, right? But I had been answering to people my whole life, and I had never been successful. I failed. Every time I had supervision, I failed. Revoke them, send them back, right? Give them a different probation officer, make it harder, piss test them 3 times a week, do them every day, send them back to the county jail, let them sit there for about 14 days and we'll try this again. I just couldn't do it. I was that guy. Right? I was the guy who was going to be in the kitchen or on the chair in the corner with the dunce cap. I wasn't stupid. I wasn't, but I was that guy. I was that dude. And I was always going to be that dude. 14 months of solitary confinement. Yeah. Seagull. 14 months of solitary confinement. And then I went to the special management unit, which gets you a cellmate. But I'll be really honest with you. I was a lot happier. Honestly, solitary confinement did not bum me out. It really didn't. I just say it because it gives you an idea of the kind of things that they were doing to people in there. But, no, solitary was great. It really was. I mean, I read books. So what it was I didn't have to listen to another guy's, flatulence or, or how, think about it for a second, people, right? It's me and another guy. So I'm 6'2" and like 220 pounds, right? Or I was before I started losing weight. And the next guy in there might be, 6 feet tall, 200 pounds. So it's 400 pounds of man in this cell. And in it is a bunk bed, a sink, and a toilet. And it's about 12 feet long and about 7 feet wide. Toss in there anything you've collected over the course of the 10 years you've been in there, 8 years you've been in there, clothes you bought, all that. And you got to fit all of that into a walk-in closet. And so does another man. It's tough. It really is. It's tough. So when I got the solitary confinement thing, I was like, are you kidding? This is all me. I'm alone. And for a chunk of it, they ended up doing a rotation. But for a chunk of it, when I was in the new part of they just built a new part of the prison. And they had showers in the cells, and that was just ridiculous. Solitary confinement with a shower in my cell, that was not like doing time. It really wasn't. I could take a shower. And you had so much control over what you could do in a day that you started to feel like, I can get through this. They give you something. I can shower whenever I want. From a bad mood, I'd just take a shower. I'd work out again, take a shower. You don't want to work out as much if you're only going to get pulled out of your cell and cleaned, right? They're going to let you go to a shower 3 times a week. You think you want to do 300 push-ups a day, right? And do burpees and just sit there drenched in sweat, or you got a bird bath in the sink, just pouring water all over you. I mean, you do it because it's how, the only thing you can. But fava beans and a nice Chianti. 400 pounds of man in a cell designed for 3,000 pounds. I mean, honestly, if you do the math, right? What do you got? So you got like maybe 75 square feet, right? I mean, it ain't 100. It's less than 100 square feet. And you got 2 guys, their beds, a toilet and a sink, right? Oh, yeah. That's just great. Hey, Skywalker, good to see you, brother. I would have stayed to myself as much as planned, just like when I was at the last shelter. Well, you know what, V? This is what I'm talking about. Phases of the moon. Miss V says, you know what? It's not going to be me. I'm not going to be that person. This isn't going to happen to me. You know what? I'll just stay to myself, man. Honestly, I'll just stay to myself. If you stay to yourself, you're not going to get hemmed up. You're not going to get hemmed up. I got arrested once backstage at a concert. They took everybody's driver's license, and they said the reason for that was they wanted to make sure that nobody drove drunk. What they did was handed all the driver's licenses to cops who ran everybody to see if anybody had any warrants. And I did. So I got arrested. I'm that guy. Now, why did I get arrested? Did I get arrested because that guy was a dick and he had to deal with the cops? Cops give him, something, get him out of trouble or whatever, and he lets him run everybody's driver's license? Yeah, he's a dick. He certainly had something to do with it. I mean, he had something to do with it as in the mechanics of it. But if I don't have a warrant, he's not arresting me. Right? I learned to really, really prioritize everything in my friggin' life. Everything. I'm telling you, you want to change your life massively? Get a pen and a friggin' piece of paper and write down every single penny you spend for 14 days. 2 weeks, write down every penny you spend, what you spend it on, and it will blow your mind. It will blow your mind. Multiply that out by, 52 weeks. And do the math. I've done this with so many people. And you go, yeah, you're spending $4,000 a year on Starbucks, or you're spending, $3,000 a year on energy drinks. And you know what? If that's your get down, if that's what you got to do, okay, then get a membership to Costco and go in there and buy your energy drinks in 40 cans so that you're getting them for $1 a can, right? Instead of $3.60 or whatever they're getting at the club joints these days. I mean, are you kidding? Are you kidding? After having a gun pulled in the tent and a knife later, I wanted to get the heck out of there. Right. Self-preservation. V goes, screw this. I'm gone. There ain't no chance, right? I am gone. For me, my life did a 180 when I stopped blaming the guy that backed into me. My life changed 180 degrees when I stopped blaming the cop that ran my ID or the dick who handed him my driver's license when I was backstage. It's not their fault. They're just cogs in a wheel, just people doing their job. you know? And then when I went to prison, it just got hammered into me, man. Hammered into me. Why? Because I did this, right? I did this. A little volunteer group. Nobody was forced to go to it. And it started really small and it got really friggin' big. I mean, it really did. The meetings I did on the yard are bigger than the ones I do here in the mornings, to be sure. There's a lot of guys there. But whenever somebody would first come in, we'd say, tell us whatever you're comfortable telling us, right? Because some people like, to talk about stuff. Some guys don't. You're not going to try to push a convict too hard, right? So, but without fail, they would say, so, I'm from this place. This is kind of what I like to do. I got busted because my girlfriend called the cops. She was mad at me because she thought I was screwing around with her friend, Tiffany. Right? And they would go through into these entire stories. And you get to the end of it and you go, so you're in prison because your old lady called the cops on you. Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. Thank you. Right. And that was 9 out of 10 people. 9 out of 10 people. So what are you in here for? My crime partner told on me. Took a deal. That prick got 24 months, man. I got 30 years. Wow. That sucks. That sucks. However, it's not why you're in jail. Right? It's not why you're in jail. And some of them were really unbelievable. I remember this guy that said, he said his girl had called the police on him for domestic violence. And when the cops got there, she mentioned to the police that he robs banks for a living, right? And literally tells the cops where they can go in the house to find the dude's money. But you should have heard him, right? I mean, he wasn't in there for robbing a bunch of banks. That had nothing to do with it. I mean, nothing to do with it. He wasn't in there for putting hands on a woman. That had nothing to do with it. That worthless woman, right? In his head, it was like she got up in the morning and went, I think I'll just turn him in today, right? Absolutely no 94 square feet, says Mind Games. That sounds about right. Yeah, a lying sack realtor got me swatted. You're right, though. That's why I worked my ass off and got out of there. Good for you, V. Good for you. If you get caught with cocaine in your car, it doesn't matter how the cop got to you to find the cocaine. The problem's the cocaine. If you don't have cocaine in the car, you're never going to get caught with cocaine in your car. If you never have heroin in your system, you are never going to get caught with heroin in your system. If you never jaywalk, you're never going to get a ticket for jaywalking. If you don't speed, you're never going to get a ticket for speeding. If you jaywalk, when you get a ticket for jaywalking, as much as it sucks, it's just part of the game, right? When I got arrested, I didn't hate the cops. Right? My job was to go steal crap, right? And turn it into money or rob a bank, just steal the money directly. But my job was to try to come up with about $700 a day illegally and not get caught. The cop's job is to try to find as many people like me as he can during the course of his career. Right? That's it. I'm not mad at him. I'm really not. John Doe, who dismissed you after the 3 months of trauma? I'm a little confused. So the realtor put you through trauma for 3 months, and then yeah, I'm a little. You know what though, man? It's early in the morning, and I'm not very quick on the uptake. So allow me to apologize, because I'm sure that that's me. I'm just back to listening for a little bit. Well, thanks, ZW. Hold on, people. All right. Well, Skipper, that requires a lot of maturity. There's no question, seventh. $700 a day. I'm not being rude, but is that a normal amount? I had a pretty ridiculous drug habit. Over a very long period of time, it required more and more heroin to get the same effect. And you get 2 or 3 decades in, and the amounts just got incredible. And in the entire time I did dope, I never once overdosed. I've never OD'd. I've never had to be Narcan. Nothing like that ever happened. No. All right, people. That brings us to the top of the hour. I'm Tommy, and I'm gonna go and. Will says, unfortunately, my old girlfriend was a drinker and would black out and get violent. Seagull Rock Squawk says, girlfriend equals cops. I want to tell you something. I wouldn't have a girlfriend when I was on federal probation. Ain't no way in hell. I can't put myself into a position where someone I live with could get me sent back to prison. I can't put myself in a situation where somebody I'm going out with can get me sent back to prison. I needed to make sure that if I went back to prison, it was because I did it. It was something I did, right? So I wasn't going to date someone who could get drunk, cause a scene at a bar, and have my probation revoked. No, man. Honestly, I'm that guy. You understand, people? Maybe I just need to do a show called that. I'm that guy. I'll get caught. I'll get falsely accused. I'll get everything. And you look at my record. If I'm falsely accused of anything, I'm getting convicted of it. I got a really ugly rap sheet there, Thank you, Christy. I'm glad that you're here. We'll see everybody a little later in the day, huh? 3:00 on the other platform. All right. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville. This was the Lifeboat. Have a great Sunday.